Hey, good morning, friends. Happy Wednesday morning. Hope you're all doing well. Welcome to Life Builder, simple tips to build a strong and healthy life on. We're here Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8:30, just bringing you simple tips that are going to make you build a strong and healthy life. And, you know, part of what we talk about a lot is mindset and thoughts and actions and how those really affect not only yourself, but they affect your brain, they affect your body, they affect the people around you. And so our actions and our words are really important. Good morning. I see Jennifer, Ted, Sarah, Jody. Nice to see you guys. I feel like romper room. I see Karen and I see Melissa and I see, no, just kidding. Anyway, it's good to see you guys this morning, and we're going to be talking today. I wanted to share with you this powerful experiment I was just reading about that really puts into perspective how our thoughts and actions are so powerful, even to create ways in your brain. Good to see you, Ted. And so here's, what's the last time that you did something new? It could have been whether you learned a new way to chop your, vegetables or a new recipe. It could have been learning a new skill at work. It could be, going to something that you're scared of doing, that you've never done before. For me, I don't know about you guys, but give me a thumbs up if you feel this way. But even though people don't think this, I'm sorry, there's like something floating in the air. Anyway, I feel scared to do new things. How about you? Do you feel scared to do new things? Because sometimes I just feel intimidated, and even if it's as simple as like going to a meeting at a place I've never been and I don't know anybody, or, riding my bike to a new place where I have to go to a new route with new streets, or, driving somewhere new, I feel scared to do new things. How about you guys? It's like something where you just feel like, oh, okay. But here's the interesting thing is that every time you do a new thing, you create a new pathway in your brain. So when you do something new, it's kind of like one thread goes between pathways, neural pathways. And then if you do it again, then it's like kind of going back. You have two threads. And yesterday, Livy and I ended up riding our bicycle to somewhere new, to the gym. And I was terrified because I've never ridden there before, and I had to ride on a busy street. And anyway, I won't go into all that. But somebody threw away my helmet. And anyway, I need to get a new helmet. And so, but once I rode there, I was like, gosh, that wasn't that hard. There was a safe way to do it, and we did it in this nice little kind of pathway way. And then I was like, wow, this is pretty good. We should ride home on this way. So we rode home, and I'm feeling good. And now I'm like, hey, I can ride there anytime. Wow, that'd be awesome. But it's because I was able to create a new pathway in my brain. But this fascinating experiment, so every time you do that, every time you re-emphasize a habit, every time you re-emphasize a thought, you repeat it, you are actually building neural pathways in your brain that allow you to build almost highways where thoughts and stuff can go back and forth, and you feel comfortable with your actions. It was like the first time you learned how to ride a bike, you're like, but now you just jump on and you ride a bike because your body understands how it works. Your body has that neural pathway established. I guess that's why you never forget. I don't know. But listen to this experiment. This was in UCSF, and there was a monkey. What they did was they mapped the monkey's brain. And I'm looking at my book here. This is Awaken the Giant Within, and I'm looking at this for reference. But they mapped the monkey's brain and his neural pathways and stuff, and the touch areas. So like one of the touch areas they mapped was, what happens in his brain when we touch this finger. Good morning, Julie. Good morning, Alicia. And so they mapped it. And then what happened was they actually trained that monkey to use this finger to get food, right? So he would get a reward every time he used this finger to get food. And then what happened was they went back and they looked at his brain. So he's done this repeated so many times. He's learned it. He's doing this, and it's ingrained in his brain. Well, they went back and looked at the neural pathway, and it was 600 times the size that it was before he started learning this trick. And what happened was that now he didn't get the food from it anymore, but he used that finger out of habit, out of reaction, because now he's got it so ingrained in his brain, this neural pathway 600 times the size of what it started out as. This is what happens when we have habits. And this is what happens when you don't want to smoke anymore, but you keep smoking, or you don't want to eat dessert anymore because you want to, like lose a few pounds, but you keep eating dessert because you feel emotionally sad. Or, some people, I've heard people say like, I've been using drugs for 30 years. Why can't I quit using drugs? Well, it's mostly because your brain is wired to say this is the solution to that problem. And for us, that is good news, because we can change those neural pathways. If you have a habit or something that you're trying to get rid of, a thought that comes, like when you walk into a room and you think, wow, everybody hates me here, or I must be the ugliest person in the room, or whatever, and you have this habitual thought, you can change that thought, and you can change your brain to change the reaction that comes. Or when your kid does this and you yell at them, there's so many areas where we have these ingrained habits, or feeling fear when you do something new. But the great news is, guys, listen to this. Once they started, made it impossible for this monkey to use his finger. I don't know what they did, but maybe they like taped it up or something. When they went back and they looked at the brain, the neural pathways had shrunk and they're getting smaller. And so it just goes to show that we can change our habits, but what we have to do is create the habits that we want and construct the reactions that we want. And I love something interesting that he says in here too. I wanted to read it to you because I can't put it in the same words. He says, if you interrupt the pattern of using the old pathway for a long enough period of time, your neural connection will weaken and atrophy. That's what we want when we have a bad habit. Thus, the disempowering emotional pattern or behavior disappears with it. But listen to this. We should remember, though, that this also means if you don't use your passion, it's going to dwindle. Courage unused diminishes. Commitment unexercised wanes. And love unshared dissipates. So we not only have to use it to create good habits, but don't forget, if you're not using those areas and those gifts that you have inside of you, and like if you don't speak the language for a long time, I had like a minor in Spanish, and I was in Costa Rica, lived in Costa Rica and stuff like that. But if I don't speak Spanish for a long time, I have to really dig for the words, and it's the same with those good things inside of you. If you're not using your gifts, they will diminish. So I just encourage you this morning to use the things in your life to create those great neural pathways that you want, those highways that are going to put you towards doing the things that you're meant to do and that you're gifted for, and just pour yourself out in those ways. And remember, if there's a bad habit to break, you can break it, but you need to build a new neural pathway. And if there's something you're struggling with and you're like, why can't I quit XYZ? Look at that in your life and see if you've created a pattern of doing that and how you can create a new pattern. So for me, my new pattern, I'm afraid to do new things. My new pattern is, okay, I'm doing them anyway. Once I recognize that fear, I'm like, okay, I'm going to do it anyway, and I'm going to build a new highway for that thought. So anyway, you guys have an awesome day. Thank you so much for tuning in. I just appreciate you all, and I love you all, and I hope you have an awesome day. And may your minds be fierce and your heart strong and your spirit very kind. And on Friday, we're going to be talking about the most simple but most effective tip that I have run across in a very long time for reading books effectively, and I wish I would have known this sooner because it's making a huge difference in my reading. All right, love you all. Bye.